One thing we always complain about in our lives are problems. We have problems with this, we have problems with that. But what if we look at problems as something as a good thing? And what if it's just about getting better at solving those problems, whether on an individual level or in this case in particular as a leader in your organization? So how can you actually get better at problems? If you think that you got analytical power and you can pull it out nicely to solve problems, that might not be enough. Research shows us that beyond making sense of complexity, problem solving requires skills that are some more human, such as creativity, decision-making, emotional intelligence, and persuasion. And the reason why it is super innovative companies, they do not only apply this analytical process to the problem solving, but they also apply team dynamics. So Ivan, tell us a little bit more about that. Hi guys, Elena here from Western. If you're enjoying this episode, please make sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on weekly new videos that we have coming out on personal and professional development topics. Also, feel free to send your questions and engage with us and comment in the YouTube videos in the comment section below. Now back to
I would like to share, Elena, some principles that if you train yourself to follow, it can easily make you great at solving problems. So it is kind of inspired of design thinking. So this ability to create a process where you are continuously revising with data, validating assumptions, and being in movement and improving little by little. This is very interesting. So the first thing that we need to take into consideration is defining the right problem. That's the analytical part, and it is often the most difficult. Think a little bit like what a doctor does. So he often needs to separate the symptoms of an illness versus the root cause. So imagine that a symptom can be, I'm having a little bit of fever. So the reason why you have fever, this is something that you can see it because of the temperature, measure it, and so on. It can be one sickness. So what type of sickness you could have? So the most common tool in order to assess the root cause of a problem is the 5 whys, starting with a broad problem. So we are getting less customers for a product. Big first one, why? They are buying from the competition. Second why? This will allow you to diagnose a problem that is worth solving and to be targeted on solving the problem. It is super important. Second thing that is essential is preparing your mindset. And the reason why it is essential is that we all believe at one moment of our lives that the exercise of crowdsourcing ideas is kind of a waste of time, as we have ourselves the best solution. We are bright minds. The mindset for a problem solving is curiosity without judgment of the situation. It helps us quite a lot if we use like mini breaks and in order to use a concept coming from mindfulness, which is the observing mind. So treating yourself as somebody who is without judgment. And mindfulness, it means just having a reminder to do that. So using the method of observing mind in order to observe a situation without any judgment. The third thing that is essential in order to develop your problem-solving skills is about empathizing with the stakeholders. Stakeholders is whoever is involved in the challenge. So is it your customers? Is it your peers? Is it your colleagues? Whoever it is, and have the capacity to put yourself in the shoes of others. It's like you are experimenting with your mind in order to consider that the problem from the perspective of all these stakeholders who are part of the challenge that you want to solve. The fourth thing that is quite important is connecting with your purpose. So answering the question, what's the point and why does it matter that we have to solve this problem? It's a little bit having the big why for solving problems in the first place, which can lead to more innovative solutions to problems. So connecting with your purpose. Number 5, something that is a little bit counterintuitive for a lot of us is that it has been demonstrated by research that preparing your ideas alone is more efficient. So people generate more and better ideas when they brainstorm alone. That means that basically before the meeting where you have to crowdsource, brainstorm with other people, having the best ideas come when you are alone. And this is because of the absence of judgment, for having out of the box ideas, crazy ideas, the comfort that you get into exploring unconventional ideas. And that helps to be prepared for the big meeting with the rest of the team. Number 6 is about experimenting. So doing micro experiment out of your ideas. So generating ideas isn't simply an intellectual exercise that you're doing just in your brain. It has to set you up for actions. So rather than ruminating and thinking, is it good or not? What is the validity? Are you sure that it's going to work? The reality is that we live in life, and in life, nothing is for sure. So go and test the success of your idea with a micro experiment. In the world of startup, and this is something that is quite well known for Elena and I, we use the concept of minimum viable product. So instead of having a big idea that is going to cost us a lot of time and money investment, so we try to define something that is easy enough, but is solving the key pains of the customer, or the essential of the challenge. And sometimes it's not about investing in big developments of apps, or it might be as simple to target the key pain of customers, to have something very simple that you can implement the next day. So micro experimenting is better than being ruminating with your ideas, because you never know if you're right or wrong. 2 last things: getting continuous feedback and using data. Basically, is you have an idea, everything is in a mode of continuous improvement. So that's where it comes quite handy to know the design thinking process, is that you have an idea, you have an assumption, you have data to validate it. If it works, you make it better, or if it doesn't work, you ditch it. So getting continuous feedback in any of your ideas, once it is live, it is good in order to continuously improve anything you do. The last point, and the most essential thing, because it is something that is quite disregarded in the corporate world, is that failure is equal to learning. So whenever you are failing, something didn't work, 1, you have to accept it. Secondly, you have to share it with the rest, and you have to take the learning and share this learning with all of the team, right?
Yeah, 2 of my favorite parts that you mentioned is getting to the root cause. I think is so essential, and also emphasizing with your customer or whoever you're solving the problem for. I think these are the 2 first steps that we typically miss, and then the rest just doesn't matter because we're focusing on the wrong things than the wrong customer, essentially. But in any case, problems are always going to be there. Hopefully this gave you some steps to think through as you're getting better at them. And remember that change is inevitable, and it's just about creating a system that works for you and taking small steps in the right direction.